Recognize this scene? You're sitting in your kid's room with them after bedtime, sitting in the dark, just quietly waiting for them to fall asleep. And once you think they're asleep, you have to silently crawl your way out of the room, just praying that the floor doesn't creak and wake them up. This is a very common bedtime trap that many of us have fallen into, but it just ends up wasting our time in the evening, and it can actually cause big problems with your kids' sleep too. So let's figure out how to get you out of there. Most of us have been here before. Bedtime routine is over, but your child just wants you to stay in the room with them. They just don't want you to leave. They don't want to be alone. Maybe they're feeling a little bit of separation anxiety, or maybe they're in a new big kid bed that feels unfamiliar, or maybe there's actually no rhyme or reason at all. They just want you to stay. And maybe once in a while, it feels like it's going to be a nice bonding time. And if you stay for just 5 more minutes, your child's just going to peacefully drift off to sleep. But sometimes just 5 minutes turns into more like 30 minutes. And then every once in a while turns into every single night. Did you know that if you get into a consistent habit of staying with your kid while they're falling asleep, that can actually make it harder for your kid to get good sleep? Children can start associating the presence of their parent with falling asleep. And then over time, they lose their natural ability to self-soothe and fall asleep independently. Remember when your child was a baby and they were addicted to their pacifier? Like they could not fall asleep without their passy? Well, now that you have an older child, if you get in the habit of staying in the room with them until they fall asleep, you're making yourself into like a giant pacifier, an object that must be there in order for your child to fall asleep. And guess what? Anything that your child needs in order to fall asleep at bedtime, they're gonna eventually start to need throughout the night as well. Any help that you're giving your child at bedtime isn't just going to stay confined to bedtime. Without the skills to self-soothe and fall asleep alone, little ones can find themselves waking up more overnight. I hear from parents all the time who are so confused because they think that they're helping their kids get good sleep by like rubbing their back at bedtime or maybe holding hands with them. Then all of a sudden, their child is waking up 2, 3, 4 times overnight, looking for that same help, needing that same help in order to get back to sleep in the middle of the night. And this is also a sacrifice for parents. We love our kids, but we need some me time in the evening. Think about all the other things that you could be doing with this time. When you're dedicating sometimes hours to your kid's bedtime, then you're sacrificing these things. And to take it a step farther, the cycle doesn't stop at just disrupted nights and poor sleep. Kids can start to become anxious about sleep as they get older when there is like an over-reliance on their parents. And parents, well, the exhaustion, frustration, and even resentment can start to creep in. So if you already find yourself in this all too common scenario, here are some steps that you can take to regain those peaceful nights. The first is to establish a solid bedtime routine. Y'all should have a set of consistent steps that you follow every night as part of your bedtime routine. And when you do this consistently over time, it starts to signal to your child's body that it's time to wind down and fall asleep. And these same steps should be followed regardless of who puts the child to bed. Number 2, have a specific plan to get out of their room after lights out. This is actually the goal of all sleep training methods, is to get your child comfortable falling asleep independently so that they can sleep all the way through the night. And there are many, many ways to do this. You could do it quickly where they're falling asleep independently on the first night, or you can do it more gradually where it may take a few weeks for them to get really comfortable with this new way of sleeping. And it really depends on your parenting style and your child's personality, which approach is going to work best for you. Now, if you need more step-by-step help, you can check out my toddler sleep course. It's called Sleep Tight Without a Fight, and it includes different methods, different strategies like I mentioned, and it includes the night-by-night details on how to implement these strategies. And the goal with my course is to get your child sleeping independently in 3 to 14 days. And number 3, remember that consistency is key. Once you lay out those steps in the bedtime routine, and once you decide on a plan to get out of the room at bedtime, then stick with it. The more consistent you are, the easier it's actually going to be for your child. I know that being consistent can be tough sometimes, but they need to know that if you say like you're going to read 2 books, that doesn't mean that you're going to read 3 or 4 books, because if you start giving in a little bit every now and then, you're going to find yourself reading your entire library. Now, I want you to imagine your child confidently hopping into bed after a lovely, cozy, quick bedtime routine, and then you leaving their room and enjoying a peaceful evening. And teaching independent sleep isn't just good for you, it's beneficial for them too. Kids learn self-confidence, self-reliance, they enjoy better sleep, and they learn self-soothing techniques that are going to last a lifetime. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with a parent friend of yours, and then check out this video.